Welcome back, guys. It's been a minute since we've been actually in the club recording the podcast. So, hi. I hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. So, yeah. Welcome back to the If I'm Being Honest podcast. For anyone listening on the audio, I am your host, Dana. Thank you very much. Today on the panel, guys, we know where we love her, but she's only done one episode so far, and that's actually kind of sad. So we had to fix that. So it's my beloved good friend, yes, Angelique. Please say hi to the audience.
Yes, guys, clap it up for me. Silent claps. Thank you. Thank you very much. It is me. It is I, Angelique. Thank you so much for the glaze.
Oh my gosh, girl. How are you?
You know what? I'm feeling a lot better. Yeah, how are you?
Girl, all over the place. But I'm here though. We can save that for another episode. Guys, it's February 26th, the day we are recording this. It's actually kind of last minute and late. But we on CP time. So it's okay though. It's okay. Happy Black History Month, because it is still Black History Month. Yes.
Yes.
Tell you, my fellow Black woman. Yes, my sister. Anybody who's listening. And happy Black History Month if you're not Black, because everybody should be celebrating Black History Month. So clock it. We'll hop right in. That's how this episode is. If I'm being honest, I love being Black. I love being Black. I don't know about you, Angie, but I love being Black.
Anything that has to do with my culture, I love it so much. I love it down to the history, down to how we got out of where we were in the past. I love that we have, let me not go too deep into it, but I love the freedom that we got so far.
Right? Because we need to expand on it just a smidge of a bit, but we'll get there though. So honestly, I love being Black. I feel like I wouldn't rather be anything else, even though I am by technicality Afro-Latina, whatever.
So double dabble there, yeah, we know.
Right, and we know you dabble across the pond, but
yeah.
Well, I'll let you get into that though. But even though we are diverse, right, what does being Black mean to you? Because even though we are sprinkled in, right, and a lot of people might have that, they might be from different places or it may look different or whatever. What does being Black mean to you?
That is a very good question. And, before this podcast, I constantly thought about the question to myself. I'm like, what does being Black mean to me? It could mean so many things, like my hair texture, or the way I talk, the way I walk, where I grew up in, the, community. But I had to really write this one down because it's really not just that. It's really deeper within. So let me just get this out and then you can go into, your whole outlook on it. So I said, I'm Black just by existing. I could throw on a sundress and blue contacts, slap on a pair of flip-flops, wear my hair straight, but it will never change the outlook of my body. The paint on my skin, in which the color I was born reflects how society will treat me. They may belittle me, but my potential will always continue to grow. It's being reminded of what my people went through and the barriers we have to continue to strive just to be put in the box as the next, only to be looked down on. But that's fine. Within my community, that is okay, because I do not look for the validation of others. I don't want to compare myself and weigh in on a scale built by others, only to shame me time and time again. Being Black is like a spectrum that crosses many genres, many different minds, different ideas that can excel us into greatness. Maybe only in our community, but that's fine. It's not being better than the next because of our views with one another. Being Black is just that, being Black.
Hello, can we get some snaps? One thing about Angie, guys, that we never really talked about in the last episode, so I guess this gives the audience listening a more chance to know you, but Angie is a writer. She's very good with her words. She's a writer, she's a poet, and as y'all just saw, that was beautiful. The metaphors, I could have never come up with that stuff. And unlike Angie, I did not prepare anything. I didn't write none of this down. So off the brain, off the dome, hot, right? What does being Black mean to me? Not to copy paste your answer, but being Black is DNA. And I don't care what the science says. They be like, oh, you can't tell the difference between race when it comes to DNA. Man, forget all that. I don't care. Being Black is in the soul. It's in the roots. It's in the culture. I feel like being Black is culture, right? Because granted, if I raise a Black child, right, in nothing but Irish culture, are they gonna think that they're Irish? Yes. Okay. But that does not change the fact that they are Black. But
exactly,
will they be accepted to the community? Do they know the struggles of being Black? Do they live and walk and breathe? Are they accepted by the Black community? A lot of times, no. And I think it's because it's a shared struggle. You know what I mean? It's a experience, and I just feel like how you said, right? It don't matter what you do, you cannot take away how the world perceives you as being Black. You can't take away the fact that you are Black, right? And so even if I was to take that kid and raise them as if they was Irish and they thought they was Irish their whole life, right? One day or another, they're gonna get a reality check where somebody's gonna be like, oh, by the way, but you're not really Irish, you know what I'm saying? Like, and once they get treated that, it's gonna open up so many more doors to showing them that there's a whole side of them that they're missing. And that's why I think it's so important for us to do stuff like this and have these conversations about our community, because it's part of the culture. You know, you never want to feel disconnected to a part of who you are. You never want to feel lied to. And that's why I feel like, though the question being, what does being black mean to you? I feel like being black to me is an experience. It's a culture. You know, it's shared struggle. It's history. I feel like being black is not simply just skin color, because there's so many people out there with just skin color, but there's different experiences, you know, and we'll jump into that. And there's so many divisions within the black community, and we'll jump into that as well. But I just feel like being black to me, it's the experience, it's the culture, but it's also DNA. So that's kind of my answer. It's all over the place and not as poetic as yours, but that's my answer.
No, it don't have to be poetic, because at the end of the day, the same basis you said, it's literally just a spectrum. It's a very long spectrum.
Right. And black people come in all shapes and forms, different colors. Like, man, like, I don't care what the makeup chart say. There's colors in between each color. Like, you know what I'm like? I don't know. Like, I still ain't got shade match. So it's like, man. I feel like it's just so diverse. So, I mean, we'll get into it, right? How do you feel like the black community is represented in media? Because I feel like recently, as of recent years, we be acting a clown. I'm not gonna lie. And I feel like one of the prime examples that I want to talk about is one of our favorite, you know, icons, or used to be, my girl Nikki. She's failing so hard. Like, she just fell so far from grace, and I don't know what's going on with her. I remember, well, I don't remember, I wouldn't lie, in like 2002, but when she first came up, right, and she became this symbol, right, and she was herself unapologetically, right? People call her ghetto and weird for the way she talked, for the way she rapped, for having bright pink hair or whatever. You know, everybody know the Nicki Minaj memes, her little speech things that people still do to this day. People still, this is for the girls with the booms. Like, we know, like, we know. And she was so iconic, you know what I mean? She was working with different artists. She was reaching heights for black female rappers in general, but on top of that, she was black, and so she was so diverse. Had her own rhyme. Her lyrics used to be intellectual to understand her bars. Like, she came from such a high place. You see some interviews, she seems so well put together. But then recently, she's tweaked out, starting beef with people for who knows what.
SpongeBob, SquarePants. I mean, come on.
Making lists, talking about these is my ops and forget y'all and da. And then shaking hands with the orange man. What is going on? Like, go ahead.
I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I won't sit up here and say I know Nicki Minaj's whole, you know, career by the back of my hand. I won't say that, right? But I know important parts about her career. Like, you know, the whole what's it called? Roman's Revenge, or her, you know, Pink Barbie, this, that, and the third, right? Mm-hmm. She was a well-respected woman in the community. And she, I'm sorry to say, you know, some people might disagree, but at some point you have to remember, like, they used to call her the queen of rap.
Right.
And it was crazy because she was really up there. And I feel like when you have the mindset, I'm not saying this is completely for Nicki Minaj, but when you have the mindset that you're above everybody and you're really at the top of the stool, your only place is down. And that's exactly what we're seeing happen to her. She's literally going down. So it's like, as someone who's represented the black community since day one, and to see that turn, it's horrible. And it's really sad. At first, I felt angry to see her just, you know, turn on her entire fan base, first of all, because they was really advocating for her. When everybody first started turning on her, they was on her back. They was protecting her. They was defending her, this, that, and the third. And now she turns against her fan base, and it's like, what happened? You know? So the representation we have, or like the little representation in modern day that we have, it's going outside for us, and it's going outside for her. Especially when she was sitting in there getting that Bible signed, that Trump Bible specifically, because there's Bibles, that Trump Bible specifically. I think that messed up a lot of people, and that ruined a lot of people's outlook on our quote unquote leaders that we have in media.
Right. I feel like even I'm seeing like people talking about how she married to a offender. Like, even through that, her fan base was, some people were still defending her, but when she turned around and was shaking hands with the orange
offender,
another offender for real. He's weird.
Yeah.
But I think that was kind of like the turning point. And I feel like it's a bad representation in general, and I feel like it's something that we see a lot in like shows and movies. Like, I'm gonna let you take the wheel on it. So like, I'll touch on the negative, you do positive. But one thing that I hate to see, and I know we love him, his films are like so crucial to the black community, and I love Medea. Don't get me wrong, I watch every movie, but Tyler Perry has a terrible representation of the black community. Like, in every single show that he produces, the Medea movies are different, but like if you watch Sisters, it's literally just a bunch of loud, ratchet ghetto-ness, and it's like, you know, somebody, the killer is somebody, you know, a secret baby with the father's stepwife, and then the sister, she done pulled up, tried to fight her at the corporate office job, and even pulled her weave out, and then the da-da-da. And I'm like, what is this? And not to mention, we'll get into colorism in a second, but it's always the thugs and some dark-skinned black men, whatever, and then the angry dark-skinned black woman, and then the ideal, quote-unquote ideal marriage is the light-skinned woman and the black man, whatever, and then turns out that they is cheating on each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a terrible representation of the black community. If I go survey 10 black people right now and ask you how many of your family members are in jail or have bodies on them, they're gonna say 0, because that's like the average person off the streets. That's not a good representation of it. Yet in the media, we constantly are seeing people casted for these roles. We're not seeing good representations of what genuine like black community, black life looks like. You know what I mean? Black experiences. You know what I'm saying? The average person down the street will experience a microaggression before, you know, their cousin find out that he been lied to his whole life and he's actually adopted. Like, I don't know, like whatever stuff that they be coming up with. Like, does that stuff happen? Yes. Does gang violence is all this stuff out there? Yes. But like at the end of the day, the like portrayal literally plays right into like the image of black people being ghetto and uncivilized.
It's just
unintelligent.
It really plays into how society views us.
Exactly. And we need positive representations like
oh my gosh, the positive representation. And I know we just spoke on Tyler Perry, but one of the movies he made was one called 6888. I feel like that really depicts the struggles that I know as black women, but you know how we were seen back in the day and the struggles we went through just to be seen as good enough or as good as the white man, right? Because I'm not gonna lie, I feel like even in the past, present, future will never be seen as good enough. I literally can sit up here and say, oh yeah, I could be, you know, optimistic, say, you know, we're making progress, this, that, and the third, but as people of color in general, we will never be seen as good as the white man, and that really sets us back. But in that movie, it really depicts the struggles that the woman went through. It really shows how strong they are and how much they strived for just to be seen as good as the white man. Right. And even if that was the past, we're still going through that. We really still are going through that. Another director, and I really love this director because of the movies he made, but Jordan Peele, don't worry, Dana, we'll get into your movie in a second.
What?
Jordan Peele, when he made Nope, he made, what was it, Get Out? He made Us. Us was a top tier. Yeah, so Nope, Get Out, Us, they were really strong films in the black community. And I say this because, first of all, I think at the time there weren't really strong black films that were coming out. And in a way, I don't know how to say this, but a lot of the films that were coming out for black people were day-to-day struggles that we go through, or either historical struggles that we go through, and it was really just repetitive. And it's like, we've already seen these things, we already hear about it, but like, what else can we produce to satisfy our community? So when I seen the movie Get Out, oh my gosh, was so good. It was about a black man who was dating a white woman, and he went to stay in their house for a little bit, and then he seen how
organs.
Yup, go ahead, talk about it.
Yes, and it was so funny to me because, and it comes out that the family had a history of setting her up to do this, to get black men's organs or whatever, and they do it in their basement. It's ridiculous, and then he would actually have to be the one to survive and all that type of stuff. If you ain't watched it, go watch it. I think they made a book on that from back in the day, and that's where the movie came from. But y'all be thinking people don't actually do that. I believe in that. I don't know if y'all believe that people be taking people organs and selling them on the black market. Because I believe people do that for real. It definitely just shows that like the deeper meanings is like how, because mind you, that movie was set in like what, like the early like 2010s or something like that. I don't even know, but it wasn't 1855. You know what I'm saying? It was saying that even though down the line like racism still continue, and they were seen as less than, and they just wanted your organ. You know what I'm saying? Like, you wasn't even in the consideration, and it's just like, mind you, dude had no clue what was going on. He didn't walk in this, he thought he was on equal footing. You know what I'm saying? He didn't think that she was looking at him less than. He thought he was just going on a date and going to the girl house. You know what I'm saying? So it really was that reality check for him, like, whoa, like, you know what I'm saying, this is how I'm being perceived. And I feel like that's important as well. Right, they gotta get the organ somewhere, but you know, and I feel like Jordan Peele has such a good way of depicting things with deeper messages while still having an entertaining storyline, you know. And that's how I feel about my good movie Sinners. Hello, if you ain't watched it, go watch it. I don't even like Michael B. Jordan for real. Creed was cool, but like, I don't even like him for real.
Creed was cool, yeah.
I just feel like Sinners was the great depiction, like the two twins, and you know, all the racism back then, and how they was trying to build something of their own, but the white man wanted to have their hand in it. And it's like he was giving him a handout, and he really thought that, was it Stack Stack really thought that he was about to do this thing and stuff like that, and that he got the handout and they made it work, and they was gonna make it big or whatever. But he really got the reality check, like, yo, like, he was alive at the end of the movie, but he wasn't even the one that got the reality check. It was Smoke who had found out that, nah, they was never finna give you this in the first place. They just come through and they was finna come through and violate the rest of y'all, you know what I'm saying? And I think it was just a deep spiritual, like, so many messages underneath, you know.
So many symbols, so many messages, exactly.
Man, and between, you know, like, how each of them had their own thing that they was falling for, that got them taken over, and like the whole symbolism between like the Irish man trying to align with the black man because we understand the struggle and blah blah blah, because that's the stuff that they was trying to tell you right there, which is exactly why my point in the beginning about being black is an experience. It's an aligned thing. And even though y'all can sit here and align on the struggles, because I remember, like, we was talking about this in history class the other day, and it was like how back then, like, the poor Irish people that were indentured servants and just any poor whites in general that were being mistreated by the government and the higher ups, right, you know, they would align with the slaves and the escaped slaves, whatever, and they would try to rise up and all those things like that. And then that's when the higher ups, the white people up there, had to put that, you know, separation, like, hold on, like, y'all are below us, but you're not on the same level as the black people.
Us.
You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? Don't do that. You still white. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when they put that idea in there. So that's why, like, you can still have white people in a hood or whatever. And nowadays, because being black has become a trend or whatever, and the struggles become cool and all that stuff like that, now it's a little different. They might try to assimilate and try and think that they black because they understand the struggle, which is a different conversation in and of itself. But back then, like, you know, just because y'all struggle, I'm still white. By DNA, I'm more superior. You know what I'm saying? Back then.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that was depicted in the movie. They even had the Asian family in there, and they was making money off the black community. They was greedy, to be honest. That was their whole thing. So I feel like that movie was such a good depiction. But man, the movie industry in Hollywood and just anything, I just feel like in general, we just need more black directors,
more creativity.
Exactly.
That's what I need. Because Sinners was a very creative movie, and it had I could really talk about this movie, but it was like so many symbols, and it wasn't even one of those movies where we focused on, you know, the life of a slave trying to escape. No, it was really life after that, but how they were trying to come together to ensure they keep their own community afloat, and still getting envious white people to come and tear them down.
And listen, that's what they did on Black Wall Street, all this, because remember, the whole thing, separate but equal, right? But in reality, stuff like that shows you that they would do things to make sure that you are not equal. We had to create our own things, become our own doctors, our own lawyers, because if we hired a white lawyer, your public defender was not finna go for you and try to get you off that thing that you probably didn't do. They trying to see you in jail, really hang at that time, right? They wasn't finna go to bat for you like your people was. We had to create our own things. We had our own grocery stores, you know what I'm saying? We had our own food where we had to work harder to educate ourselves in order to become this level of, you know, achievement and careers and all that stuff like that. And we'll get into careers. We can actually hop into that now. Back then, careers, they were important. We needed black doctors, black policemen, black firemen, we needed black actual careers to go with the community, you know what I'm saying? But nowadays, in 2026 or whatever, we have that already. Somebody else will be a fireman, somebody else wants to be a cop for the country or whatever, and whatever, somebody else will become a doctor. I'm not smart enough for that. And then what do? I'm gonna become a streamer, I'm gonna become a rapper. And I'm not hating on that, at all, but it's like I see it heavily pushed. Like, I know so many kids, if it's 6, 7, 8, 9 years old, if I ask them what they want to do, I'm gonna be a streamer so I can play Fortnite. Like, bro, where is academics? Where is the importance of education now? Do I understand the whole school teaches you nothing important argument? That's a little something different conversation. But education in and of itself is so important. And what do we always say? Knowledge is power. And I feel like we've lost that in the generation, especially with the whole brain rot thing going on in the Gen Alpha. Like, what is really going on? And I feel like it's like, you know how many friends I know who don't want to go to college or don't want to do a pathway that gives back to society. Like, you don't have to go to college. You want to be an electrician, go do that. You want to be a plumber, go do that. You want to do real estate, go do that. You know what I'm saying? But they graduate high school and then your plan is absolutely nothing. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna do TikTok for the rest of my life. And I'm not saying that that's bad. And I'm saying, and entertainment is cool, and for people to blow up off of doing something that they love and being funny and sharing their personality, that is cool. But when it's pushed and prioritized along that with sports as well. Like if I go down to the black boys, whatever, all they want to do is be a basketball player. All they want to do is play football because that's all they see, that's all they know. And I'm not saying that that's bad. That's cool and all for you to love all those things and be successful in those things. But it's one, really hard to be successful in those industries, and it's only select people that they allow, you know, to blow up like that. I remember there was this movie, and I don't remember what it's called, bro. They literally, it was this white people sitting at a table, right? They're in slavery time or whatever, and the slaves was outside. And it was this white people having this conversation on like, how do we keep the Negro down? Whatever, we gonna let him think that he's good in what he does, but in reality, he's just playing into the role that we want him to play in reality. So we're gonna make sure that he, you know, is cool with being a basketball player. We're gonna make sure he's cool with being a carpenter, or we're cool with him doing the low stuff, so he doesn't rise up and do the actual things that, you know, we do. Or if we see one that's actually smart and that could actually become a good doctor or a good lawyer, we're gonna pluck him out early, and so we're gonna turn him into what we need him to do, so he turns his back on his community, so we can keep the black people down. Like, so it's like when we see our generation and our kids not have a value for education, don't care about history. I don't know how many people I've heard be like, history is boring. What do we need to know history for? This is your history. A lot of American history actually is black history. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, once you get past the formation of the country, yo, there's so much stuff. Some of our constitutional rights, yo, you realize that the 13th, 14th Amendment, 15th, all that stuff literally did not come in until way later on that the country was formed, literally because black people needed their rights. You know what I'm saying? Things that we have today literally is history related, but education has literally been so lost, and knowledge has been so lost, history has been so lost, and now everybody just wants to be on TikTok all day. You just want to play video games and do nothing, and it's just like, it hurts me to see that. You know what I'm saying? I want to see people who want to do something to give back to the community or give back to the world and help they people who need those things, and I just feel like it's kind of getting lost in the sauce. Again, I'm not hating on nobody who wants to be a streamer or feel like they can do music or whatever. Like, you want to spread love and message through your music, or you want to get on and be a positive media influence, whatever, that's cool, but it's just an overflow of people trying to do the same niche thing, and then when somebody tries to step out of that niche, they're looked at crazy. I love Castanet. I was watching Mafia-thon all throughout September. You know what I'm saying? I love me some Castanet, right? I love the whole AMP. I love a lot of popular streamers that people watch, right? When I saw him, he was like, I'm quitting streaming, I'm taking a turn, I'm becoming an entrepreneur, I'm doing my clothing line, I want to read books and learn how to articulate myself. People was frying him. Like, why are you
that's
frying
the
him?
fan base he set up. That's literally the people he introduced into his fan base. In result, they flamed him for becoming or trying to become better.
Yeah, but that's just wrong. Like, and I get that. That's the narrative that he made. You know what I'm saying? If you made a narrative, literally, like, I remember people do this. There was a big thing when, like, natural hair content blew up, right? If you're a natural hair content creator, right, people follow you for your natural hair. The moment that you put a wig on, everybody's frying you because that was your basis. Your basis was about natural hair. Okay, we get that. You know what I'm saying? And once you step out of your niche, people will fry you. So did Castanet kind of create that clown environment where all we do is key and play video games and act stupid? Okay, cool. We get that, and laugh and joke. He made that for
but
himself.
It wasn't deserved at all.
Exactly. And the moment that he tries to better himself, you should better yourself with him. Go
exactly.
Learn. You know what I'm saying? Learn. Read a book. Articulate yourself. Upgrade. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember Castanet, he had a terrible problem with stuttering because he didn't know how to explain himself. He didn't know. I remember they do a Mafia-thon. They do spelling bees on stream because him and Ty Lil from the Bronx, they like, which education system is better? You know what I'm saying? Like, and they both was failing to spell second grade words. You know what I'm saying? And it was like, Rakai out here, he was failing and didn't care because he's a streamer and he make money and he's successful. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, I just feel like when somebody tries to better themselves and prioritize education, they shouldn't be, you know, demonized for that. And I feel like that should be encouraged as the generations come up. Education should be more important in the black community because we're not gonna solve issues. We'll get into this. We're not gonna solve actual issues in the black community without education, without the ability to talk about these things and all that things like that. So I mean, we can jump into a couple major issues. I don't know if we're gonna be able to touch on all of these, but whatever you want to start with, you can start with it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I know there's a lot of major issues we have in the black community, but I think one that I see a lot would be mental health issues within the black community, right? I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the mental health issues I see stem from our environment. And in other words, when I say it stems from our environment, when we go through something traumatic, okay? When we go through something traumatic, the first thing that I don't want to say your parents, because not everyone here will go through it, but the first thing that parents will say or family will say is, oh, we don't need the outside therapist. It's not gonna help you. Talk to me. Then you come to your parents or you come to your elders and it's like, oh, well, we went through worse. We went through this and the third, you'll get over it. And it's like, you're really not helping each other. You're really bottling it up until it comes out in a very distasteful manner, right? So the one thing that a lot of our community struggles with is finding the help because we're not introduced to it. So yeah, you want to touch up more on it?
Girl, I mean, I think you clocked it right there. I remember I told my first time I told my dad was depressed. But anybody who doesn't know me, bipolar disorder and bipolar depression. And before I knew all that, right, it was, what's wrong with you? Why you acting like that? I'm depressed. Why you depressed? You ain't got no reason to be depressed.
Exactly.
And no shade to my dad. No shade to my dad, because I think it comes from cycles and just so many generations of black people having to be strong, and we'll get into that as well. But, black people having to be strong and endure things, and, there was no weak front. Like, I remember I was in my African American history class, right? And we were talking about Niger, or the Red Summer, as you want to call it. If you don't know what that is, research it. It was a time after the Reconstruction period. That's when the KKK and all that stuff was running crazy, right? And lots of violence stuff on black people, right? And the black community was suffering, especially in the South, right? But it was this poem, and I forgot who wrote it, but it's called We Wear the Mask. And he was basically saying, like, we can't let the white man, we can't let the oppressor, the people that cause us this pain, we can't let them see that we are shaken. You know what I'm saying? We gotta stand together, and we gotta act like everything's okay. You know what I mean?
But that's strong. The issue. Like, we created a community where vulnerability is deemed
weakness.
As
yes.
Exactly.
And it comes from that slavery time. It comes from survival. You couldn't be weak at that time. You know what I'm saying? And so we passed that down through generations. And that's how a lot of our parents were raised. If y'all, they Gen X and all that stuff, or whoever, or the boomers generation, all that stuff. That's how they was raised. You know what I'm saying? And it was, yes, Lawrence Dunbar. Paul Lawrence. Thank you. Yes, exactly. That's exactly who it was. And it's a really good poem. But it really shows, like, that has been passed down. That poem was written in, like, the early 1900s. That's been passed down a century. So where black parents today and communities still today have to wear the mask and be strong or whatever. And it's just like, in the black community, I feel like, especially our men, but the way that our men work, a lot of times when it comes to the family structure, the women follow suit. But our men, we black men, you weak if you you know what I'm saying? Like, men don't, a lot of that's men in general, but especially black men, you can't cry, or you can't, show that you struggling. You gotta have it together, or you gotta handle it. You can't ask for help. You know what I'm saying? Like, all those type of things. And it trickles down to your woman. You're supposed to be strong black woman, strong independent black woman. You know what I'm saying? All that stuff came because we didn't have any rights back then. But so when we got rights, we had this whole strong independent black woman thing, and then we took it and ran with it to the point to where it's like, now, okay, if you acting out of character, now you the evil, crazy, the
aggressive, snarky black woman, like, right. Yo.
And then if you break down, it's, well, what happened to the strong black woman? You're supposed to care. Both men and women in the black community carry the weight of the world on their shoulders, and we need to really strip all that down for real. And therapy, which is why I genuinely want to do what I want to do, and I want to work with the adolescents and work with the youth and build that back up, and I want to build the community where work with families. I want to be a marriage and family therapist in order to break that down, because our parents probably have their own cycle of abuse and cycles of, trauma and all those things. I know mine do. So it's like, still being able to break that down and still maintain discipline, still maintain, order and decency. So, because people, you need to be home trained, okay? I be seeing some of these kids out here in Gen Alpha and whatever. I be like, where is your home training, bro? This gentle parenting? I don't know about all that stuff. I'm not saying you yeah, I'm just saying. But, but so you need some home training, but maintaining that, as well as having a space for vulnerability, having a space for talking to. And I feel like your relationship with your parents will change once that's there. You know what I'm saying? It's funny because I have a lot of friends, and we're a lot of friends, we have mommy issues, right? In my friend groups, I can name like 5 or 6 friends. We all have mommy issues, right? And it's I remember my mom one time, she was like, what is y'all, the I hate my mom club? Like, what's going on, right? And I was like, nah. And I really thought about it one time, and it's not about, oh, well, you won't let me do this, or I don't like when you do this. Like, we can get over that. Oh, you didn't let me go to the party, you didn't let me go to my friend. Like, I can get over all that stuff. What I can't get over is not having an environment where I feel like I can come and talk and not, be shut down, or not be judged, or not be, all those type of things, or if I make a mistake, I can come for a solution and not have it be held against me. You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that, as a community, and I feel like like our generation Gen Z for real. Those are the things that we need and that we really want to see for real. And so I feel like that's a mental health perpetuating. Like, I feel like statistically, I believe I took it in my teen mental health association course, whatever. Statistically, within like the last 10 years or so, 10-15, where Gen Z's kind of started, we've seen the highest rate of depression and anxiety in teenagers that we've ever seen, at least recorded, you know. And it's because with changing circumstances, you know what I mean, and while there's more resources out there, like, I feel like the pressure has been passed down, and I feel like our generation has definitely experienced a lot of ups and downs. I'm trying to process what I'm saying and get it right, but I just feel like in general, as teenagers, we do carry a lot, but then we're told that we don't, and that we have it easy, and that it gets worse. And while those things might be true, you know, when you invalidate somebody's experience like that, you end up in a cycle like this. And so that's why I think we see so many rates of high suicides and high, you know, depression and anxiety, so many disorders and all those things like that, because it starts with the parenting style. And if it's passed down and it's not healed, hurt people. And a lot of times we say that in relationships where it happens in family dynamics. So true. And I feel like it really just has to start from within and healing, and it's a big thing. And I see it as well in the Hispanic community a lot, and we'll touch on that. I feel like that's another thing we can kind of gravitate to, but it happens a lot too. A lot of times the same things that we'll say when it comes to discipline or, you know, emotional vulnerability or like toughness, a lot of times we'll see that in the Latino community as well. Hispanic community will see that as well. I can do an episode. I do have some Hispanic friends. We do an episode on that during Hispanic Heritage Month. But I feel like things are real out here, and I feel like we just need to shed a little bit of light on it. Check on your kids if you have kids, chat. If you're a kid, go check on your friends. And as long as we stay in touch with ourselves and try and do the work, it starts with us. And that's just really what I feel like. So it starts with us. Let's switch gears.
Yes.
While it does start with us, what else starts with us?
By the way, thank you so much, Dana. That was really emotional. Everything you said was perfectly worded. One thing that did start with us was the beginning of HBCUs, also known as historically Black colleges and universities, which were founded sort of before the 1960s, really, 1900s. We founded them because of segregation and our inability to get into certain colleges.
No word. I was touching on it earlier, but we needed our own space. Segregation made it so where we had to find a way to thrive, and we had to create these things. One of the oldest that still stand, I forgot, it's in my notes from African American in history class, but the oldest HBCU is still here today. I forgot what it's called. We still have these things, you know what I mean? And it's a symbol of excellence and academics that we're always talking about. And I definitely think that we need to keep them going. A lot of HBCUs don't get as much federal funding, that's why scholarships and all those type of things, but we definitely need to keep going. It's a lot of rich culture, lots of history there, and the experience there is definitely different no matter what. We'll give you some people that y'all should research because it is Black History Month, so we'll jump into some Black historical figures, right? For me, I chose Maria W. Stewart, right? She was the first Black woman to publish a political manifesto and one of the first to give a political address. She was a teacher. She was just a general educator, very educated. You should watch some of her speeches. Like I said, she was a writer, author, published the political manifesto. So definitely somebody to notice. In Women's History Month, we will dive deeper into women because played a crucial role, not behind the scenes, but a lot of us did, but some of us was on the forefront as well. So I chose her. I chose Henry Highland Garnett. He's an abolitionist, an educator. He was an escaped slave actually as a child, and he talked about, religious beliefs against slavery and encouraged Black people to take their own direction and stand up. He actually ended up being the first African American to speak in the House of Representatives chamber. So him as well. Angie, who did you choose?
Okay, so you just went over, my good guy Henry Highland. How about we go into Anita Julia Cooper? She was the author of A Voice from the South, which was one of the first books highlighting Black feminist thought. She earned a PhD, and she was one of the first Black women to do that. And she was just like a strong advocate for education and equality. Another one would be Garrett Morgan, who actually, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but was the inventor of the early vision of the traffic light. Yeah. Right. So congratulations to him. We also want to highlight, I hope I say this last name right, and I'm so sorry if I don't. Lewis Latimer. Yes. Helped create the light bulb. Yes. Okay.
It wasn't Thomas Edison. I mean, it was, but he stole the idea and the filament.
And
he didn't have all the pieces, so that's where Lewis Latimer. I think Latimer created the filament or whatever that means. I don't even know how light bulbs work. But point is, Thomas Edison gets all the credit on the surface, but he wouldn't be here without a Black man. So.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, guys, okay, I want to talk about this. I love the book Hidden Figures, okay, and the
Yes.
movie. If you haven't read it in middle school, because I watched the movie and read the book, it was one of the only books in middle school that I actually cared about, that I actually read through and through. It's about a black woman mathematician during the space race with Russia. Man, it was just so good, and it went through each of their individual journeys on how they got, you know, to that point, to where they was working with NASA. But it's a really good thing, good representation in black women. If you've never read it, I don't know what your middle school was doing, but go read it, go watch the movie. It's really good. But you want to go into some more recent, like 1970s, 80s, maybe, like, I think the party was the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Yeah, the party founded in 60s, but
yeah,
continued on in the 70s. Yeah, go ahead.
The Black Panther Party, yes, chat. Most notably, one of the founders, Huey Newton. So he was one of the founders. I think he's like the most notable by name. Most people know his name. So he was the founder of the Black Panther Party. If you don't know what that is, it was like a revolutionary group during the 60s and 70s that really advocated for resistance against police brutality and all those things like that. They helped the community, lots of food drives, all the types of things, right? Very much that's where the power to the people comes from, right? Angela Davis, you know, with her afro and her pics and her leather blacks, right? Apparently she was a communist. I don't know about all that stuff. That's so crazy. They threw her in jail and all this type of things, and she gave so many speeches, and she has lots of writings that are very important to read, and you know, they're still taken account in today. So I remember I think I was in the museum of natural history, and she had an exhibit one time. It was really good though. But do you want to go into somebody that's more popular that you might know about?
Yes. Okay, so hopefully I pronounced this name right. I keep saying that when I don't know how to pronounce names, and I'm sorry. Afeni Shakur, which is very notable because that is the mother of Tupac Shakur, and he was very famous for his progressive views and his respect towards women. But Afeni Shakur is a member of the Black Panther Party.
Well, she's dead now. She died in 2016. R.I.P.
Well, yes.
Yes.
And then I feel like everyone should know this one. If you don't, please go look up my good woman, Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman elected to Congress and the first black woman to run for president. My goodness. She has so many memorials towards her, parks. It's just amazing.
Oh my God. Thank you. The oldest HBCU is Cheney University of Pennsylvania.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you for that. Garrett was in the town hall. Yes. Political figures.
And even though these are like more past figures, I feel like some notable recent ones, and it's okay if you don't agree, but one of the ones I would like to point out is Kamala Harris.
Yo,
right?
Girl, we know you're glazed for Kamala. Please.
Can I get it? Can I get it out? Like,
see, glaze.
Okay, I'm not about to glaze her.
See,
Kamala Harris.
Somebody said simp. We know how you are. But go ahead.
Wow, I feel so disrespected. Anyway, Kamala Harris, the first black woman, and I won't undermine this, but also the first South Asian American to serve as a U.S. vice president. She was also a senator and attorney general of California. She advocates for a lot of rights, you know, voting rights, healthcare, criminal justice reforms. She also ran for president, which unfortunately she did not win that, but you know, it's okay. In her name, we continue. And another one, okay, like I feel like you guys might have thought I would forget this one, but my good dude, Barack Obama, which was the first black president of the United States. Yes, 2009, 2017, 2 terms. I mean, come on now. Yes, he passed the Affordable Care Act.
Oh my God. Obamacare, yes.
And, okay, can't say this for many presidents, but he was also awarded the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes, the Nobel Peace. So those are some black figures, child. Activity for you guys. Think about your favorite black historical figure. Drop it in the chat or comment it if you're listening on the audio, or just do some research on some of the people that we talked about. But there's so much more to this. Let me know if you want a part 2, because there was something that we did not touch on.
Yes.
So,
even if you guys don't want a part 2, I'll probably just come to Dana for a bonus episode.
Right.
I'm not gonna lie.
So yeah, thank you all for listening so much. Again, happy Black History Month. Yes, and Women's History Month up next in March. So let me know if you want on for the panel for that.
Yes.
And as always, being black is part of your DNA. Any culture you are, man. If you're Latino, you're Native American,
Dominican,
you're
papi.
Okay, you're done. Anyways, anything you are is all in your DNA, guys, and everything you need is in there. So love you guys. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.